What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the 2024 Subaru Forester. So I just made a video on the 2023 Subaru Forester Wilderness. Now we have the 2024 Subaru Forester Limited right next to me, so one trim away from the top touring trim. And recently announced was the new 2025 Subaru Forester, which has been completely redesigned. So I'll be talking about this Forester, the 2024, kind of in comparison to what's up and coming in 2025, to kind of give you guys an idea if you should go ahead and try and pick up a 2024 here at the end of this specific generation's life cycle, or if you should wait for 2025. And if you guys have any questions about the 2025 Forester and what you should expect, drop it down in the comments and I'll be sure to answer. But let's go ahead and get started. Again, this is the 2024 Subaru Forester Limited. So one away from the touring trim, but we have a lot of nice features here on this one, and we'll start up front as always. Now in front, you have a full set of LED steering responsive headlights. That is an option that we added on to this limited trim. You also have LED fog lights down below and a pretty simplistic Subaru front grille. Big Subaru badge in the center. You have a gloss black grille here with this beautiful horizon blue pearl color that wraps its way all the way around the front of the grille. Some nice intricate accents and details and a little bit of plastic cladding down there around the fog lights. Obviously this is a Subaru, so you're going to have tons of plastic cladding. You have it here down at the bottom of the vehicle. And again, this nice C-shaped headlight design that looks really good. Now, under the hood of every single Forester, and this applies to 2024 as well as 2025 with one small exception, you're going to have the 2.5 liter boxer engine. The 2024 is going to have 33 miles per gallon highway, 26 miles per gallon city, 182 horsepower, 176 pound-feet of torque, whereas the new 2025 is going to be changed just a little bit. It's going to have 180 horsepower, 178 pound-feet of torque. So you lose 2 horsepower, but gain 2 pound-feet of torque. But it's been reported that the peak torque is going to be reached quicker in the RPMs, so the 2025 is supposed to feel faster than this 2024, although they have the same 2.5 liter engine. So just very, very slight differences as far as engine performance goes with the same engine block. You do have a little bit of plastic cladding that runs around the wheel wells. It's pretty minimal, nothing like what we have on the Sport. And then you have these 18-inch machined aluminum alloy wheels. Look really nice, pretty simplistic design, but Subaru does a nice job. Body color side mirrors, integrated turn signals, blind spot monitoring. They are heated, but they are manual folding mirrors here. Keyless access here on the door panels. And then up top, you have these black roof rails. These are the raised ladder type roof rails, and they have a 700-pound static load capacity. So you can put something like a tent up there if you want to. A little bit more cladding down at the bottom, some chrome trim that runs around the windows. And of course, up front here, you do have your EyeSight driver assist system. And then up top, you do have what they call a panoramic sunroof. It's not very large. It's not like your traditional like full length panoramic. It just extends a little bit further into the second row. All right, so moving to the back of the vehicle here, you have these nice C-shaped tail lights here that extend not only onto your lift gate, but also over to the side. They're really nicely designed. They have a cool look to them. Nice big back glass. It doesn't look very tinted. If it is, it's just a little bit tinted, but you do have a heated rear glass here. You have a crystal black silica rear spoiler. Keep stuff off of your back windshield. Rear wiper as well if stuff does get on it. Subaru badging here. Symmetrical all-wheel drive badging. Nice big Forester badging here. And you do have an HD rear camera up underneath. Some more plastic cladding, parking sensors right there. And then you have just a single exhaust tip down here. And then 8.7 inches of ground clearance, which we've come to expect on almost all Subarus. And we do have a power liftgate here. So we can just push the button up underneath. It's gonna raise right up. And we get access to a ton of cargo carrying capability back here. I've got my camera box back in here, and I could probably fit like 4 or 5 camera boxes back here. And you can pull these levers here to drop your second row seats to get even more storage capacity, and I'll have all numbers on screen for you guys. You've got a cargo net here, you've got your traditional fabric mats, and you also have your all-weather mats back here that we optioned on. Up underneath here, you've got spare tire and tools. Then you have a little bit of extra storage space back here where you can put even more stuff. Harman Kardon speakers back here, hooks, lights, you name it, 12-volt outlet. You've got everything you could possibly need back here. And you've got a button that you can not only drop your tailgate, but also another one that if you push that, it will drop the tailgate and lock the vehicle, which is always a nice convenience feature. But let's go ahead and hop inside. All right, so hopping inside this cabin, here's what I'm gonna say. It's not by any means a poorly designed cabin or a bad looking cabin, but it is a cabin that feels outdated. And there's good reason for that. We've had this same generation for a long time. This is the 5th generation of the Forester, and we've had this same generation since the 2019 model year. Started production in 2018. So it's been a long time, and some of the look and feel of the cabin is starting to feel outdated. Now, I made some predictions in a past video of things that I wanted to see in future Subaru models. The 2025 Forester has already been announced, and it has almost none of these features. So it's really hard to predict what Subaru is going to do, because most of the time they play it very, very safe, and they did the same in 2025. We'll talk about everything this 2024 has to offer, because the things that are updated for 2025 might not matter to you guys, and you might want to just pick up the 2024 since you'll probably be able to get it less expensive. But we'll start on the materials. Over here on the door panel, you have a soft touch black rubber up top. Then you have kind of a gray or ivory colored leather material with a little bit of a textured plastic piece as well. You have a little bit of accent stitching here, then more black leather with accent stitching and that same ivory or gray color. Window controls here, Harman Kardon speaker system down here, vents over here. As it runs across the top, you have more of that soft touch rubber, then more of that black leather, more textured pieces. Then down here to the left, you have a lot of different controls. You have your steering responsive headlights, traction control, auto start stop engine, blind spot monitoring on and off. So you have your trunk memory height. I made a secret features video showing you guys how to adjust and set a custom memory height, so definitely check the link in the description if you want to watch that video. Light and wiper controls behind the steering wheel, and then you have this leather wrapped steering wheel right in front. This is a heated leather wrapped steering wheel with your media controls on the left side. You have your adaptive cruise system on the right side, as well as your lane centering and SI drive buttons on the steering wheel right here. Paddle shifters on the back as always. And then past that, you have a tiny little driver information display right there between two standard analog gauges. So that little screen allows you to see things like your safety systems, what gear you're in, your adaptive cruise control, things like that. And then you get another screen up top that gives you even more information. But down below that, you have two different screen options. On the first 3 or 4 trims, you'll have standard 6.5-inch display, and then standard on the Limited and Touring, you'll have this 8-inch infotainment display. This is Subaru's Starlink display. You've got phone, navigation, My Subaru, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. You've got radio. You also have your rear camera here, which has your adaptive lines and your rear automatic braking and safety system there. Up top, you've got an auto-dimming rear view mirror with a compass and universal HomeLink garage door controls built right in. Sunroof controls up top. This is a manual shade, but you can use these controls to power slide the sunroof. Push to start engine. You do have a dual zone climate control system, so individually adjustable driver and passenger, but you can sync those up. And you also have rear vents, so your backseat passengers can stay warm or cool, whichever they need. Then you have 2 USB-A ports underneath with a 3.5mm audio jack, as well as a 12-volt outlet, a little pad here, and then you have your shift knob for your Lineartronic CVT right here. On the sides of the shift area, in the center console area, you get more of that gray with accent stitching. It's actually really premium looking. Typically on a lot of these vehicles that I look at, they're a little bit more consumer friendly, a little bit lower budget. You'll get black plastic starting from about like chest level down. But here on the Forester, you actually get some really premium materials pretty far down. So that's impressive and really nice to see. You got a little bit of a satin piece as well right here. Piano black plastic around the shift knob area, and then right on top of the shift knob for God only knows what reason, and some leather at the bottom with accent stitching. You have your dual function X mode right here, which has snow and dirt and deep snow and mud, electronic parking brake, auto vehicle hold. You have heated seat clickers right here, 2 cup holders that I'm taking advantage of, and then inside this center console, you have another 12-volt outlet and a nice deep pocket. It's not huge, but some nice storage space there. Standard glove box as well. Your seating surfaces here are a leather appointed seat with these perforations down the center. They're a 2-tone look with the black accents on the side with more of this kind of gray down the center. Again, that accent stitching runs all the way around. The driver is a 10-way power adjustable with 2-way lumbar. Passenger is a manually adjustable seat, but they are both heated. And again, you do have that EyeSight driver assist system up top behind the rear view mirror. Now let's talk about 2025 and a few of the things that are going to be different. So this entire center console area is being redesigned. So you're going to get the large 11.6-inch vertical Starlink display that we've seen now on the Crosstrek, the WRX, the Legacy, the Outback, obviously the first one, the Ascent now. So it's just made its way finally to the Forester, and that's going to be nice to see. So if you really like that system and want to take advantage advantage of that. Hold out, wait till 2025. Other than that, for 2025, as far as the interior goes, they're very, very similar, and I'll flash a couple images here on screen so you can see. You have a very similar gauge cluster with just your little driver information display in the center. Standard analog gauges still. Same steering wheel design and layout, same center console area, more or less. Really the biggest difference are gonna be the exterior redesign, the slightly, differently tuned engine. It does have all new sheet metal and all new chassis, so it's gonna feel a little bit different, but for the most part, as far as the technology goes, it's gonna be just about the same. As far as the interior looks go, it's gonna be just about the same. So slight exterior differences that you'll definitely be able to notice, that 11.6-inch display and, the updated framework, basically. Really just have to choose which things are most important to you guys and decide whether you want to go with the 2024 or try and pick up a 2025 here in about 3 or 4 months in the spring of 2024. All right, hopping back here to the rear seats. I've got this seat pretty far back so you can see kind of how much legroom there actually is. Like this one's moved up much more, appropriately. I think this one's pretty far back, and I still have probably an inch or two of legroom here. I can tuck my feet very far up underneath, so no issues there. You have this kind of triple pocket set up here, so a large pocket up top, medium pocket, and then a small pocket, so you can fit all kinds of stuff, and you have that on both of the backs of the seats here. Very similar materials on the door panels as you work your way back, almost exactly the same, although this is like a hard touch plastic as opposed to a soft touch rubber, but everything else feels very similar, as well as the seating surfaces. They're very comfortable. No reclining option, but you do have this little center console piece that folds down to give you 2 additional cup holders and a nice armrest. You've got rear vents like I mentioned earlier, and then 2 USB-A ports back here for charging. Now, as far as the seating space goes, I'll have all dimensions on screen for you. But again, I'm 6'1", it's decent shoulder room, not amazing, decent leg room, not amazing, and decent headroom, not amazing. It's pretty much middle of the road there. You could easily fit 2 adults back here. 3 kids I think would be perfectly fine. 3 adults, it's gonna be pretty crammed up, but you could do it on short term. It's not one of those things I would say absolutely not, but it's pushing the absolutely not category, which is kind of funny because this is a pretty decent size SUV in the segment at least. So not the best backseat volume as far as bang for your buck. It is still plenty of space for kind of family situation. All right, let's take the Forester for a little test drive. One thing I always notice right off the bat when I'm in these Foresters is how high up you sit. It really feels like you're in a pretty large SUV, when in reality, it's more on the compact side. Not super compact by any means, but it's not like some large family hauler. Like, it's a pretty compact SUV. Acceleration. So again, this has the same 2.5 liter, 182 horsepower engine that's in the Crosstrek Sports and higher there, Wilderness as well. So, it's a heavier vehicle than that, and I think you kind of pay the price a little bit. It's not slow by any means. It still feels perfectly passable for passing and for highway driving. Not bad at all. It just has that noticeable CVT lag, and then it just doesn't have a lot of punch. It would be awesome if you had an optional engine that maybe was a 2.0 liter turbo or something just with a little more oomph if you wanted it, but you're stuck with the 2.5 liter across the board, and that applies to this model year as well as the next reinvigoration of the Forester next year. Just keep that in mind. But as far as steering responsiveness, it is very responsive. No issues with that at all. Braking test. Very responsive brakes, very sticky. It does take a little bit of braking force to push down, but they're responsive. We can try out the advanced adaptive cruise control here. With lane centering, we'll go ahead and set that and watch this thing work its magic here. So it's taking me through this little construction zone, taking me nicely around this curve here. And it will bark at me to keep my hands on the wheel, so I'll go ahead and do that. But again, this isn't a semi-autonomous driving system. It's just a driver fatigue assistant, basically. So it gives you a little graphic there that shows you that it's working, and it works pretty well. Again, this isn't going to take you around anything massive. It's not a semi-autonomous. It's not a fully autonomous. It's just an assistant, so treat it as such. Now, as far as visibility in the cabin, you have a massive front windshield here. Huge glass, tiny pocket window, but really no blind spots in this area. Nice clear side mirror view there, nice clear back windshield view all of that is great. Now, I talked a little bit about the technology and how it just feels a little bit on the dated side. That really isn't changing outside of getting the larger infotainment system. You may have seen earlier on in this video, this system is a little bit on the laggy side. If you go to navigation, for example, and you're trying to pivot around, it stutters a lot. If you're using Apple CarPlay and you're trying to swipe through the menus, it stutters a lot. So just something to keep in mind. It's not the most responsive system. Just because the 11.6-inch display is newer and larger does not necessarily mean that it works better. So really, it's up to you on what you prefer. But again, it just feels a little bit laggy, feels a little bit slow and outdated, as well as this little thing up here and then this little screen here feel the same, but those aren't changing. At least this one's not for 2025. Now, obviously, this has Subaru's EyeSight driver assist system, and it is packed full of safety features. You've got forward collision braking, pedestrian braking, rear automatic braking, you've got blind spot monitoring, you've got lane centering, you've got, your adaptive cruise systems, you have your advanced airbag systems that Subarus have, all kinds of good stuff here as far as safety goes. Subaru vehicles are some of the safest vehicles that you can possibly purchase, so no issues there at all. And then as far as the seating comfort goes, these are very comfortable seats. They are a little bit stiff as far as being straight up and down. They don't have a lot of sink to them, so if you want a little bit of extra sink to them in the lower back area, you got to really push the lumbar support way back, and even then it doesn't feel like it has a lot of arc to it. They feel pretty up and down, so it's just something to keep in mind. Some sport seats that you can get on other models have a little bit more of that kind of cushion and bucket seat feel to them. These feel a little bit just stiffer overall as far as being straight up and down. So not uncomfortable by any means, but not the most comfortable Subaru seats I've ever sat in. Now, you do have this dual zone climate control system that works really well. I enjoy using this system, no issues there. You can set it on auto and it will keep the temperature leveled for you. And then everything else I think is fine. Everything else is in a good placement outside of this push to start button, which is in my least favorite spot, out and behind the steering wheel. Everything else easily accessible, buttons are easy to use, all that kind of stuff works great. So overall, I think that, again, it really comes down to your preferences and what is important to you. If it's more important to you to get the best possible price on a new Forester and have what's sort of the most up-to-date version, then maybe a 2024 is for you. If it's important to you to have that larger infotainment display, if you prefer the visual redesign for 2025, and you want that updated chassis design, maybe go with that. But it really is just going to come down to preference. And that's kind of a nice thing to have because you're not necessarily choosing between a whole list of new features. It's really like, do I like the design of 2024 or the design of 2025 better? And you can make a decision based on that. Obviously, we've taken a look at everything in this 2024, but as soon as we get a 2025 on the lot, I will be sure to grab it and make a full review for you guys so you know every single thing that vehicle has to offer as well. So thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, drop a like. Let me know down in the comments, what is your favorite feature on the 2024 Subaru Forester here? Are you going to be picking one up? Or are you going to be holding out for 2025 when they do the full redesign? Let's have a conversation down in the comments. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button to be among the first to see every single new video the second I hit publish. We'll see you in the next one.